Hare Krishna, welcome to my first ever video here on the old YouTube. My name is Benny Boy, Ben XI, or back to Rupa. And today in our first video, we're going to go and try to kill some moss giants in the wilderness with the hope that they'll give us some mossy keys and some clues. And with those mossy keys and clues, then we can go and kill the moss giant boss and also try to complete the free-to-play collection log. I thought I'd just introduce myself. My name's Ben. I actually spent the past 6 years of my life living as a Hare Krishna monk in Wales, and it's probably been the most fantastic couple of years of my life. But yeah, I spent the past 6 years as a monk, and now I've moved out of the temple, moved out of the ashram, and I've got a bit more freedom. So I've started playing some old school Runescape again, which I'm finding to be quite a blast from the past. So yeah, my entire childhood was taken up by playing RuneScape, to be fair. Like, for instance, this account, Ben XI, I actually created it when I was 11. That's why it's XI. And now I'm 30. So actually it's a 19-year-old account. I'm almost 31. So it's a 20-year account. So it's pretty clear that RuneScape is like deeply meshed within my being, so to speak. So it's quite hard to quit RuneScape. I don't think anyone ever does. Whoops. I don't think anyone ever does quit RuneScape. It becomes a part of who you are, to be fair, at least in my experience. And it, for some people in the spiritual community, it might seem like, okay, this guy's made a little bit of a step down. He used to be a monk, and now he's back playing video games. Surely that's a bit of a waste of time, right? And that's a common misconception about spirituality. A lot of people think that to be spiritual you have to go and sort of sit in silence in a cave or like in a room and just sort of be alone with your thoughts and meditate like that. And that's not really the case, actually. In the Hare Krishna movement, we study the Sanskrit text called the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita is like a famous yoga text, and it takes place on a battlefield. And the main warrior, Arjuna, becomes bewildered. He's kind of thinking like, wait a sec, what am I doing here? Why am I fighting? Surely the purpose of my life is to be spiritual. I don't want to have to kill people on the battlefield. So he goes to his best friend, who's Krishna. And Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, which means Krishna is God himself, And it just so happens that Arjuna is best friends with God. So he says to Krishna, what is going on? I'm totally bewildered. Oh, we got a clue scroll. We better pick that up and reset the timer. But yeah, Arjuna says, I'm totally bewildered. I'm supposed to fight, but at the same time I'm trying to be spiritual. Surely it's better for me to neglect my duty as a warrior, neglect the duty of fighting, and instead run off to the Himalayan mountains and sort of meditate with the yogis. And Krishna, he actually really heavies Arjuna out. He's like, you're talking like a complete and utter fool. You don't know what, you have no idea what you're talking about. Because there's no such thing as renouncing your duty. You're born with this quality of being a warrior. So therefore, you'd be a complete fool to think that you could just sort of give up that nature and go to the forest where all of the yogis meditate. As soon as you go to that forest, you're going to start organizing the yogis in the same fashion that you do as a king, as a warrior, and they're going to get annoyed, and it's not going to be a very harmonious situation for you there. So actually, it's better if you stand on the battlefield and you fight, you do your duty, but you change the consciousness in which you fight. You don't fight to win a flourishing kingdom. Instead, you fight to serve God. You fight for a higher purpose. You fight to serve me, Krishna. He says, fight for the sake of fighting. Don't consider happiness or distress, loss or gain, victory or defeat, and by doing so, you remain free from fear. Anyway, so he gets the instruction that no, you can't negate your nature. You can't give up your nature which you've acquired by contact with this material world. Actually, it's better if you use your nature in the service of God. Like that. So I was thinking about the same thing, my nature is literally like RuneScape is life. If I had never become a monk, I'd probably have played RuneScape non-stop since then. So instead of, leave the ashram, when I left the ashram, naturally the pull, I haven't played RuneScape in 6 years. That pull reawoke within me, So I thought, okay, I'm curious. Let's have a little go at this, Let's have a little play. So I whipped out my old account, BenXI. This is like a free-to-play only account that I've played over the years relatively sort of lightly. These stats are kind of built up over the years. And I started playing it, and I really appreciate the simplicity of the free-to-play game, I was talking to a friend earlier about sort of the virtues of simplicity. The simpler we can live our life, the more peaceful our mind is likely to be. And a lot of the reason that so many of us in the modern age are kind of disturbed in mind is because of contact with complicated material subject matter. So if you have Instagram or YouTube or Facebook or TikTok, when you get stuck in the scroll lock, you're constantly digesting new information. You're hearing about this, that, and the other thing, and it's actually creating a type of mental complication. And that mental complication, didn't mean to drink that. That mental complication is causing us to be agitated in mind. I don't know anyone who's been scrolling through Instagram for an hour or watching YouTube shorts for an hour that afterwards feels like their mind is refreshed and peaceful. Almost always the mind becomes extremely agitated as a result of contact with those things, So it's like we're actually complicating ourselves by exposing ourselves to such things. But something about this free-to-play game, there's only a limited number of tasks that you're able to do. Most of them are quite AFK, away from the keyboard. You can just sort of leave your character idling while he gradually works towards improving his levels. There's not new updates every week which are causing you to try and keep up with the trends, and it's a very kind of simple version of the game. So for me, I quite like just sort of leaving the character going at flesh crawlers in the background and just gradually training the stats up. Or if I'm feeling like I want a bit of engagement, then I'll train a little bit of prayer, or I'll come up here to the wilderness and kill moss giants. Because when you kill moss giants in the wilderness, you get a double times chance of getting the mossy key to enter I think it's called Bria Fighter. The moss giant boss, you get a double chance of the keys. Plus there's the spicy chance that some guy's going to come and like teleblock you and, make you lose the key that you spent ages getting. So yeah, like the simplicity of the game is attractive. So I figured, okay, obviously I've got this natural attraction to play RuneScape, and it is the type of game where as you play it you can have some kind of video playing in the background. It's the perfect game for kind of consuming podcasts. There's so many RuneScape players that like watching long rambling videos with lots and lots of talking, because there's time to kill in one sense. The RuneScape doesn't take your full attention. It's kind of a half attention kind of situation. So it's nice to have some kind of noise in the background while you're playing, So I sometimes listen to like lectures or classes from monks spiritual practitioners, listen to podcasts with people who are interested in self-improvement, this type of thing. So I figured, hey, why not combine the two? As Krishna advised to Arjuna, your nature is unavoidable. You have to act according to your nature, but try to dovetail that nature, try to kind of combine that nature with a form of service to me. In other words, try to serve God through your nature. Yeah? So I figured, yeah, why not make some long, rambling video content of me talking about the different realizations and the cool subject matters which I've learned from studying these yoga texts, these ancient Sanskrit literatures. You know, as a monk, we'd study or attempt to study for 2 hours per day, you know. We do 2 hours of meditation every day, wake up at like 3:30 in the morning, go to morning prayers, 2 hours of meditation, attend some classes, some more prayers. And then throughout the day, we'd try and fit in time where we'd sit down and study scripture. And basically hear spiritual subject matter, hear about subjects which are connected to Krishna. And yeah, through that kind of 5-6 years of doing that, just naturally by osmosis, some of the spiritual kind of subjects and values have, I guess, imparted themselves into my psyche, if you could say it like that. But yeah, so it's kind of naturally, I've taken on some of the wisdom, and I thought, why not share it with the scapers, because it can improve quality of life for anyone, basically. A little bit of knowledge is powerful because it empowers you to kind of rise above the lower energies which are sometimes gripping us. You know, like it's quite common to get caught in the trap of acting against a higher desire kind of thing, you know? Like we have a higher, we desire to act in a higher way than we often do. And it can be quite frustrating, you know. I know that a lot of us play Runescape because it helps us to kind of unplug from the troubles of our day-to-day life. In other words, we kind of can connect ourselves to some numbers on the screen and gradually work them up, and it helps us to unplug from reality. It's kind of like a way of detaching from our real life situation, which is okay. But the problem with that is that sometimes, you know, when we actually eventually decide to go back to our real life situation, we've compromised our position. I know that was definitely the case for me. Like the amount of, I used to play video games and smoke weed and do all kinds of like behaviors and behavior patterns, whatever, to kind of avoid the situation of my life. But then when it finally came to the point where, okay, I need to face reality here, I kind of had caused a lot of damage through these habits, you know. So it's not saying that playing RuneScape is necessarily a bad thing, but it's about, okay, how can I play this in a way that it's not going to be a damaging thing and it's something that's sustainable, and it's like a type of recreation which can help me unwind rather than sort of a complete escape from reality. Because a complete escape is not necessarily going to serve us. We kind of know this anyway. How about this? If you've watched this far, which is actually kind of far into the video, or if you've listened this far, leave a little comment if you're interested in hearing more of this kind of subject matter. And I would love to kind of talk about different topics from the Bhagavad Gita and from spirituality, because it could help us. It can really help us all. I was hoping that within this video I would get like a one of these mossy keys, and then I'd go kill Bria Fighter and get that the staff, the magic staff. But it looks like that's not happening, which is okay. We'll accept it. Unless on these, I'm gonna kill these 3, and if I get a mossy key, we're gonna go kill Bria Fighter, and Krishna is smiling upon us today. So everyone put your hands together, fold your hands, and say a good prayer to the Lord that either this moss giant or this moss giant drops a mossy key, and then our video becomes much more juicy and filled with content rather than me just blabbing my mouth as per usual. But yeah, leave a comment, subscribe, and let us know if you'd like to hear more of this. And either the video is going to end right now, or not. Or we're going to go kill a really easy free-to-play boss. No. Okay, one more. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Oh, there we go. That will make the video good. We're actually going to get an attack level and I think a combat level. So we're going to go to 97 combat, everybody. Yay! Victory! Wow! Wow! Woo! Okay, I'm going to keep blabbing until I get a Mossy key and hopefully you guys don't mind. But I guess it might be a question on your mind is like, okay, how is playing RuneScape and talking about your spiritual path, how does that mean that you're playing RuneScape in a spiritual way? And I guess for that we could kind of talk about the basics of spirituality. The primary teaching from the Bhagavad Gita. In other words, the first thing that Krishna tells Arjuna when he speaks about his bewilderment, the first thing he says is that you're not the body, which is an interesting concept. You are not the body, you are a spirit soul. And actually you're kind of like an actor who's playing a role when you're in when you've got the bodily concept of life. So see, right now on RuneScape, this is my player. I've got a helmet. If I take the helmet off, I've got long hair and a beard. So this is my avatar. So the premise is that actually our physical material body, in other words, the body that you currently are kind of looking at the screen through your eyes and hearing the sound of my voice through your ears, that body is your kind of avatar, which you use to interface with the world around you. But just like this RuneScape character isn't actually me, I'm a higher being that's kind of expressing my desire through this character. Similarly, you're not the physical body that you're kind of viewing this world through. You're a higher spiritual being that's experiencing life through the physical body. So it's not that you are the body and you have a soul. More it's actually that you're a soul and you have a body. So we're a spiritual soul and we're part of a kind of greater consciousness, a greater spiritual soul. And the purpose of life is actually to understand that difference between the spirit soul and the consciousness. The spirit soul and the body. And on that in that understanding, we're likely to be very happy. Whereas if you're in the kind of conception that you are the body, then you won't be so happy, you know? Like, it's undeniable that this world is kind of a place of misery, right? You know, we feel a lot of distress because the world is like a temporary place. You know, people around us are going to die and eventually we're going to die. It's a sober moment, but it's like it's a reality that we can't avoid about life. So sometimes that kind of existential crisis causes a bit of a weight upon our shoulders, like a type of burden. And to relieve that burden, or it might not even be an existential burden, it might be like a quite realistic trouble, like maybe we've got some kind of debilitating injury, or we've got some bills that we need to pay, or there's kind of social pressures. There's all kinds of like different pressures upon us, and oftentimes we take shelter of some kind of vice or some kind of like some kind of device for relieving ourselves of that distress, and we call that relief from distress happiness. You know, it's not like we're actually happy when we're experiencing. So like RuneScape's a good example. When we're playing RuneScape, it's not like you're ecstatic at every moment, but what it does is it causes your attention to go into somewhere. It causes your attention to kind of expand into this world, And, oh, is he going to kill me? Yeah, he's going to attack me. Okay, let's take this clue scroll and go. I should have bought some prayer. Run! Oh my god. Am I going to die here? It's not that we're going to actually escape. What was I saying? See what I mean? Like, my attention is fully absorbed in this game. So any problems, like for instance downstairs I've got to take the bins out, or I've got to clean a certain part of my room, those problems sort of shift off into the background, and kind of I'm absorbed in this game instead. And I think I escaped him. Do you see that sick escape? So that absorption into something other than our problems is something that we call happiness, you know? But it's not actual happiness. It's just a mitigation of distress, yeah? But on the spiritual platform, the spirit soul, which is who you are, is actually Satchitananda in Sanskrit, which means it's eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss. So if we can kind of reawaken our spiritual consciousness, then we can be blissful. We really can be blissful. And it's not just like a mitigation of happiness. Like sometimes they say ignorance is bliss. I'm just going to quickly do this clue score. Sometimes they say ignorance is bliss. But, you know, it's not that ignorance is bliss. It's that the mitigation of distress. You get what I'm saying anyway. I've said that. Oh. Forgot me blooming water runes. Yeah, that mitigation of oh my god, I'm so distracted. See what I mean? I'm glad that we got a little bit of content at the end, to be fair. Like I almost got PK'd by a level 74 with Fire Blast. That was exciting. But so yeah, I guess we'll do this clue scroll. We'll do our clue scroll, and we'll get some mole slippers for a mill, and then the video will have been a total success. How does that sound? And if you listen to this this far in the video, then please comment the word clue scroll. Okay, Charlie the Tramp is an absolute legend, can I just say. Here he is, Charlie. What does he need from me today? What do you need? A raw herring. Let's go get you a raw herring, shall we? I've run out of raw herrings. Brilliant. So yeah, hopefully the things that I've said have kind of resonated with you on some level and they're interesting. If they are, then that's a good sign, because as kind of spiritual beings, we want to stay curious. I was always struck when I was younger by, I think his name was Aristotle or Plato, one of the Greek philosophers. There's a quote from him that said that the unexamined life is not worth living, and I remember that really resonated with me when I was younger, because I thought, yeah, actually, that's a good point. Like, if we're not asking deep questions in life, then what is the point? Surely the point isn't like a nice big house and a big car, or in Runescape terms, surely the point isn't to have like full Torvesta with that new scythe and the twisted bow and a max cape and whatever. Like, I'm sure if you had 200 mil stats, it's not that you're going to be more happy. It's just going to be, oh cool, look, I did this thing. And the meaning of life is actually deeper than that. Okay, that was a wizard's hat. So yeah, there we go. I'm happy with that as a completed video. I've got new gear from my 124th clue scroll, and yeah, just thanks for listening. Thanks for your attention. Attention is very valuable, and I appreciate that you gave me some today. So, Hare Krishna.